I've had to recreate the whole stream basically because we're under a new name called Hit It With a Hammer. Those who watched our first playthrough of Fish by Magnetic Scrolls might get the reference or should get the reference. But this is what we're going to be called from now on. Leaving Dead Flesh Retro to kind of do nerdy stuff that it was doing before we started live streaming our collective effort at solving vintage text adventures. So yeah, there's a whole dedicated channel to it on YouTube, and there's a Blue Sky account as well. So we'll be messaging on that, and yeah, doing all of our live streams from now on the Hit It With the Hammer channel. And maybe at some point we'll transfer the old the playthroughs of Fish and Ballyhoo from Dead Flesh Retro over here, and maybe at some point we'll have a website where we'll talk about it more. Oh no! Look, there is some chat. Maya's here.
Maya's there.
And it is appearing in the stream. It's just very small. So that's good. New channel, yeah. I know. I hope you like it. I hope you like the design. This was all kind of last minute because we really wanted to stream without there being a break. So spent a lot of time over the weekend and today creating the new channel, and Lucas has done all of the artwork for it. So the logo and all of the banner images and stuff. So it all looks pretty good, pretty funky, I reckon. So yeah, we decided last week we had a chat about what we want to do next, and I think the consensus was, well, I know the consensus was that we're all quite intrigued by more modern interactive fiction. We've played a couple of classic text adventures from the 80s, and we kind of want to see what the state of the art is, or how this medium has evolved a little bit, and looking at some reviews and some sort of rankings. We decided, we played a few, we had a little look at some, but we played the first few minutes of Counterfeit Monkey by Emily Short, which was released in 2012, and we got sucked into it straight away, didn't we? It like grabbed our attention. It was really intriguing, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to play a modern piece of IF? Wouldn't it be great to play a piece of interactive fiction that was written by a woman? And yeah, so this looks like it fits the bill. I had a quick check on IFDB, and people can kind of, when they rate it and review it, they can also indicate how long it took them to complete. And the average is 10 hours. So this should be like a 10 episode playthrough, give or take. So I don't know.
We're set up for failure already. Fantastic.
I know, like this is, we'll be on episode 20 going.
Yeah, how average are we?
Yeah. Well, yeah. How accurate, how honest are people when they review it? I'm sure no one's sitting there with a timer, right? But anyway, yeah, we should be looking at about 10 hours of gameplay. So it shouldn't be like a very quick thing. It's probably similar to Ballyhoo, actually. So yeah, apart from that, everything is exactly the same. We really don't know anything about this game, having only played the first like few interactions. So we're kind of intrigued to see what happens. So usually when we start, I ask you all to say hello just so we know who's playing. So I've left it a bit too long this time, but please say hello so that people watching know who's on the call.
Hello, Lee here.
Hi, Swandy's here.
Hello, I am Rosie and I am here.
Hello, Woody, and I am over there.
Great, excellent. I'm not sure how valuable it is to do that, but it always kind of makes me feel as if people at least know who's on the call, there's no surprises, although, I mean, other people could join at any moment. That's also true. Anyway, hopefully you can all see the screen. This game is in a different interpreter. It's in the Glux interpreter, not Inform, or Frots was the emulator that I was using. In fact, I think it is written in Inform, just for a different version. And I've never used this interpreter before, so there's that. But you can all see the setup. This is where we start. Back alley noon, goals 1, score 0, and the phrase "Can you hear me?" So I think when we played the first few interactions last week, I think we said yes to this, didn't we? So I think it's only right that we say no to it this time, right?
Yeah. So happens.
So let's see what happens if we say no. Ah, smart Alec. But we're conscious. I've heard urban legends about synthesis going wrong, one half person getting lost. Do you remember our name? I think we can say no. To review, we're Alexandra now. I was Alex before the synthesis. You were...
And
Now,
And-
you immediately got this, didn't you, Rosie, last time? We could either say, I don't know, I think, which is what we did last time, or said something else. But the answer is Andra, isn't it?
Andra.
Yes. Okay, we're both here. Neither of us lost our minds in the synthesis process. As far as I can tell, the operation was a success. We're meant to be one person now, unrecognisable to anyone who knew us before. Counterfeit Monkey, a removal by Emily Short. Release 11, serial number, blah, blah, Inform 7, build, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, we've got this strange map on the left with locations on it. And it looks like there's like a, what's it called? A directions compass rose at the bottom with north pointing straight up. And we're at Back Alley. I'm not entirely sure where that is on this map. Can't see Back Alley anywhere. Let's try to get a look around. I haven't been able to run our body without your help, but maybe now you're awake, it'll work better. To get a look around, type look and press return. If you do not want help getting started, type tutorial off. I mean, we can leave it on.
yes, I think tutorial can stay firmly on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to introduce us to text adventures. I think a lot of modern text adventures go to great lengths to kind of, introduce first-time players to the whole genre. So we probably know most of this, but it's always useful to orient yourself when you're driving a new car to know, does X mean examine, etc.
Well, we
So-
haven't played one of these for 40 years, have we? So
Haven't played one for a whole week. Let's look then. Back alley. This isn't much, is it? Just the backsides of a couple of buildings, some peeling yellow paint, and not even much by the way of windows to look in through. I think the place where we had the procedure done is just a block or two away, but I've already lost the door. I imagine they change it. This alley runs north to the open street towards the town square. That's the way we'll want to go first. Okay. Anyone see town square on the map? I can't. High Street. Palm Square. I do notice there is a place on the map called the Counterfeit Monkey. Can you all see it okay?
yeah,
Okay. So she, or whoever Alex is, says they might change the door. I imagine they change it. So, I mean, this is obviously an illicit procedure where they go to lengths to ensure that you can't return to where you had the procedure done. You can find out more if you look at the yellow buildings or shorten it to L yellow buildings. L yellow buildings. The buildings are no doubt due for renovation but haven't received it yet. There are no windows facing this way. Something makes you think of how we got here. Memories will list your currently active memories. There are other things around here that you can look at too if you like. You can check out other things in your surroundings or look at me to see yourself. So let's do memories. Currently on your mind is how we got here. Remember any memory to review it. There are other things around here that you can look at too. So if you say remember how we got here. Cluttered industrial room. The synthesizer was right at the centre of the room and we were inside it. An unshaven man in a blue jumper was prodding us with his foot. Wake up, wake up. But we couldn't move, even though you were half conscious, so he panicked. We paid him to let us recover in comfort, but he wasn't about to risk having a corpse on his hands, even an unidentified one. He picked us up and dumped our body in the back alley and left. Then we're back in the present. Let's try look at me. This body is more you than me. Well, it would be since we came out a girl. Still, I feel a bit odd inspecting us too closely. It feels like invading your privacy. Feel free to look around some more. When you're ready to move on from here, try north. Thoughts?
Can you say look at us? Will that give us a different response?
I don't think anything about us looks out of place. We are female, though. We are female, though a little taller and leaner than average, and with slightly boyish facial features. It's nothing that would attract attention, though.
Can we remember Alex?
I don't know what you think you're talking about because we can't see any such thing here. Let's try mem. No. No. So we only have one memory to remember, which is how we got here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was Alex and Andra, and now there's just Alexandra. And Alexandra is female.
It doesn't resemble either Alex or Andrea. It said that no one would recognize us.
Yeah.
Should we go north then?
It says nothing that would attract attention. Where did it say no one would recognize us?
I think it was early on when
Was
it
it?
was talking about.
Yeah, we couldn't move even though you were half conscious, so he panicked. So we had this procedure done, and we didn't come round straight away. So presumably Alex, I mean, is Alex like our brain and Andra is our body?
I don't know. I think we're a dual consciousness, aren't we? Because we're talking to ourselves.
I know, but if Alex was conscious, then the person who did it wouldn't have thought we were a corpse.
I just assumed that both consciousnesses needed to boot up in order for the body to activate. That Alex woke and
It sounds almost like Alex was locked in, you know?
yeah.
But anyway, okay,
Well,
all right. Oh, let's just try inventory. I, for inventory, you insisted that we bring almost nothing into the synthesis room, so the criminal who was performing the synthesis couldn't rob us. I had hoped there was more honour among thieves, but you said no, there isn't. We are equipped with your R remover, an essential we mustn't part with. Okay. So it does sound like there was obvious conversation between us. So Um, let's examine R remover. It's a blunt-nosed plastic device about the size of a laser pointer that can be waved at things to remove excess R's. It is not very powerful and often fails against large items. On the other hand, it has a wide range of action. It can be set to any letter we choose. These are, if not exactly cheap, hardly unknown in Atlantis. Oh my god.
Are we in Atlantis?
I guess we're in Atlantis. But
How
also,
interesting.
this is... So, one of my favourite text adventures from back in the day was Leather Goddesses of Phobos, which is like a spoof, pulp science fiction B-movie inspired game. And in that game, there is a device that removes letters from objects. I think it removes T's. It removes the letter T from object. And so you collect all of these objects as you're playing the game, and you have absolutely no use for them whatsoever. And it's quite frustrating because you don't know what to do with all of these things that you've got. They don't seem to fit any of the puzzles that you found. And then you find this device, or get this device working, and all of those items, suddenly you put them in one end, and then they pop out the other with the T removed. So you're carrying a tray around for ages, and then you put the tray in the machine, and this guy called Ray pops out the other end, and he's a non-player character who then helps you out. And you have untangling cream, but you can't use it on anything. But you can turn it into unangling cream, and you can change a 45-degree angle into a 33-degree angle,
Right.
and stuff like this. So I wonder if this is this is obviously like a language puzzle thing. You can take R's away. It just reminds me of that puzzle. I wonder if it's inspired by the T removal machine in Leather Goddesses of Phobos.
So how do you change it into a different letter?
I don't know. It waved at things to remove excess R's. I mean, what can we see that has any R's in it? Nothing yet.
Just the map.
Yeah. Okay, can we do exits? Okay, we can go north from here. That's all we can do. Okay, we can't look at doors. There's no windows. There's no windows facing this way. Okay. Okay, should we go north?
Let's go.
Sigil Street. The buildings here are 2 and 3 stories with shops at ground level and elderly apartments above. The shops are closed for the holiday. A typographer's office, tourist boutiques of colourful skirts and ethnic bodices, rarely if ever worn by natives, and t-shirts covered with font designs. Passing by the reflective window, we catch the sight of our single blended body, and it creeps me out. A narrow alley runs between buildings to the south, while the street continues east. We could try and look at the shops, or look shops. So we're Sigil Street. Is that on the map somewhere? Yes, it is. Look, it's down here. Ah, back alley. There we are. There's back alley. And this is Sigil Street. I was wondering whether we need to create a Trisbort map for this, but maybe not. Or maybe we do at some point, in which case I'll have to go back into the stream and create one. Okay. Sigil Street. Let's look at shops. We peruse the offerings. Colourful skirts, font t-shirts, ethnic bodices, and a mourning dress. Mourning as in, mourning someone's passing. I gather from your thoughts that you actually like some of the skirts, but we'd prefer that we skip the cross-dressing for now. Our synthesized body may be female, but I'm still getting used to that. Sometimes the things we examine have parts that we might also want to look at, that mourning dress, for instance. And the t-shirts with writing on, fonts on, so they might have R's. Okay, let's look at the dress then, shall we? A black vintage gown trimmed with much lace and dripping with jet beads. There's more that we can do than just looking around. To check what you're holding at the moment, try typing inventory, or I for short. We've done that already. Okay. So you might want to look at the parts of the dress. So let's examine the lace. Closed with ribbons and laces to be worn over frilly white shirts. And what, jet beads, wasn't it? A black vintage gown trimmed with much lace and dripping with jet beads. Okay, it wants us to do the inventory. We are equipped with your R remover, an essential we mustn't part with. It can be set to any letter we choose. That sounds like a hint. Try set the R remover to U. Oh.
That change it from a morning dress to a morning dress.
Yes. You flick your thumb over a small knob. We now have a U remover. Wave U remover at morning dress. In fact, to make life easier, we don't even have to set the letter remover every time we use it. We can just type, say, wave P remover at pram, or remove P from pram, and the remover will automatically set itself to P. Now let's see what's happened as a result. There's a distinct spearmint flavour, and the morning dress turns into a morning dress. An outfit of striped trousers and a fancy coat, such as men sometimes wear to fancy weddings in the morning. Your score has gone up by 1 point. Something we did has just raised our score. We must be on the right track. To find out what exactly we did right, type score. You have earned 1 point. 1 point for losing the letter remover. You have not yet removed A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, etc. Everything apart from you, from anything. You can spend some more time looking around or checking out your inventory to see what you've changed in this location. When you're ready to move on, you can head east.
Shall we examine like the t-shirts or?
Yeah.
They feature more serif puns than anyone needs in a lifetime. Get t-shirt. Though the font t-shirts are theoretically for sale, there's no one in at the moment to sell them to us. Okay, we can't get the morning dress either. Skirts and ethnic bodices. Okay. Oh. Look at skirts, suitable for wearing while doing the local traditional dances, which are slightly Spanish. Bodices, closed with ribbons and laces to be worn over frilly white shirts. The shops are closed for the holiday. A typographer's office, tourist boutiques of colourful skirts and ethnic bodices. A typographer's office. The office advertises custom fonts and symbols, though it is very unlikely that anyone decides to have a custom font made simply because they happen to catch a notice in a shop window. In honour of the holiday, there is also a display poster showing the form of the humble comma as it manifests itself in a variety of popular fonts.
Can we look at the fonts?
We get the same description of the office. And if you do sign, we get the same. Notice. I can't see what you're talking about.
Do you think there's a way to know what our goal is?
Yeah, like score.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the window. I have not gotten used to what we look like since we were synthesized into a single female body. The face that looks back is deeply scary. It's not me, and it's not you either. It's more like one of those computer composites that you can have done to envisage future offspring. If you and I were to have a somewhat androgynous daughter, she might look like this. But I'm uncomfortable sharing a body and uncomfortable looking into a mirror and seeing something other than my own face looking out. You seem calmer about it. Perhaps you've just had more time to reflect, or perhaps somehow you're filtering those emotions out for me. But I think we'll both be happier when we're split back into our own respective bodies. Goals. Here's what we think we need to do. Get out of these back streets.
Interesting that the procedure is reversible.
Yeah. But it's not a goal.
Shall we?
Not yet, anyway.
Shall we go to the next location then?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It kind of said play around with the letter remover and check your inventory to see what you've done. And I'm like, okay, but like, what is there that we can? What can we remove? I mean, there must be something in here that we can play around with.
It feels a bit like we're not properly playing yet. Like this is still the kind of tutorial thing.
Yes.
Like it's getting us to realise that the letter remover is going to be useful, but it's not useful at the moment.
All right, yeah. I mean, this is just how I play games. I will stick around for ages, getting every last bit of meaning out of the place. if I think there's like something else that we can do here, but I'm happy to move on. It said go east, didn't it? From here. I just think there's a word in here that we could take a letter out of that would then get it to mean something else, but I'm not sure what it is. So let's go east. Unless you're playing this game in text-only mode, you should see a blue and white compass on the side of the screen. That compass will always show you which directions you can go in next. Directions in blue lead to areas you haven't visited before. Directions in white lead to places you've already been. Okay, cool. So we can see that there's an exit to the north that we haven't been yet. We're at Ampersand Bend. So that's here. A bend in the street which runs west and north. This district combines the old and the new. A small museum in an ancient stone building to the east. A shiny real estate office south. The window of the museum is currently displaying one of its exhibits, a codex. A temporary barrier blocks this empty street from the busy fair to the north, though there is a door that could be opened with the correct code. From here, the gaiety and excitement of the holiday are fairly loud. Navigating with the compass directions works, but we can also type go to travel back to a named place. Go to back alley will take us back where we started, for instance. Okay. So we can jump around the map just by naming the location. And I think the hints were quite strong here, right, as to what we're supposed to do.
I think it's quite evident of how to get the code, isn't it?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Is that the right syntax? Remove X from codex? We smoothly and almost without thinking it reset your device to be an X remover. There is a mad scientist cackle and the codex turns into a code, a bit of paper on which is written 305. Barrier. It's a high metal fence supported by sturdy poles. It's designed to contain the chaos a little and keep people who have come in for the fair from wandering off down the side streets and causing trouble in unpoliced areas of town. It has a code lock that opens the inset door. The tutorial is still trying to get us to go to the back alley. Shall I just do that to get us to move on?
Might as well.
Go on to back alley. We've learned a lot of the basics now. Let's go to ampersand bend. You can navigate there by compass directions or just type go to ampersand bend. It's a brief walk. We're back. Oh. There was a bit of extra text that says, don't worry, they'll be able to restore the codex easily enough when the museum reopens. Take a moment to look at things in the environment and get your bearings. Okay, so we've done this. Let's try enter code into barrier. I only understood the first part of that. Trying anyway, retrying that as enter code. We set the wheels of the code lock to 305. Click, the barrier door unlocks. Okay, well that's nice and helpful, isn't it? Like, you don't have to specifically put the code into the code lock instead of the barrier. You don't have to remember that it was 305 because, you know, you've already discovered that.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
nice, isn't it? It's like it's much better at understanding what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it is so far. That's not the only thing that's here, though, is it? Because there's a real estate office to the south. And there is the museum, so we could, I mean, I guess the museum's closed. Let's look at the office. Advertisements in the window describe the offerings around town, from a studio apartment, looks like a fixer-upper, in Deep Street for $823,000, to a house near the university for $2.5 million. Prices for villas in the northwestern part of town are all listed just as available on inquiry. I can tell you find all that shockingly overpriced, but trust me, land is scarce on this island, and there are a lot of people who want to own it, not just locals, but international corporations. Okay. No one spotted anything obviously, that has excess letters. Enter museum. The museum is not open on the holiday. We can go north through the temporary barrier, closed, and west to Sigil Street from here. Okay, I guess we just go north.
Yes, so.
We open the temporary barrier. North. Okay, we've got lots of directions to go here. Oh, I see. I think this @ sign is us. You notice there's an @ sign that's moving. It's yellow, so it's hard to see. Today is Serial Comma Day, one of the biggest holidays on the island, and a time when half the police force is off duty while the other half is overextended. The perfect day to make an escape. The square at the centre of town is therefore crowded with people, and there's an overpowering smell of artificial butter and spun sugar. We are surrounded by kiosks for spell-offs, face painting, a wheel to spin for prizes, and other activities best for small children or the very easily amused. The fair continues with a selection of carnival games to the west, and with an open park to the north and east. Your score has gone up by 3 points and is now 4. You can pick things up when you see them, like this. Take the wheel. You've earned 4 points, 1 point for using the letter remover, 3 points for passing through the temporary barrier.
We've got 3 goals as well.
You're right. Here's what we think we need to do. Get my backpack from the cinema. Retrieve your remaining possessions from locker at hostel. Meet your colleague Slango at Counterfeit Monkey. It's not mentioned our goals in the tutorial. And on the map, it looks like there is a cinema just to the northwest of us. And the hostel to the east. It's suggesting that we take the wheel. There's a wheel to spin for prizes. And the tutorial suggestion is take the wheel, so let's try that. We get the wheel. It's the sort of game where you spin the wheel for a prize. No one seems to be manning or using it anymore though. Perhaps the supply of prizes has run out. The wheel is far too large for us to carry and falls onto the ground. To save your current position, type save. Restore allows you to bring back a game you have previously saved. Let's save. Okay.
I guess we can turn the wheel into a heel.
True. The map and compass can be switched off by typing map off. If you change your mind later, switch them back on with map on. Oops.
You can also turn it into a wee.
Gee. I don't know why we'd want the map on. I suppose. Let's turn it back on. Should we... It doesn't actually say... If we look... There's a wheel to spin for prizes. It doesn't say that the wheel is lying on the ground or anything, like an object. Let's try spin wheel. We give the wheel a hard spin. The pointer lands on lifetime charge supply. Sadly, no one is around to award this prize, which is probably why we were allowed to spin it without having some sort of ticket first. Should we turn it into a heel and see what happens?
Why not?
If we got rid of the H, it's a lifetime card supply.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
any
true.
use?
There must be a way to undo this. Remove W from wheel. We run our thumb over the dial, setting the device to a W remover. We wave the W remover at the wheel and produce a heel, severed, because after all it would be beyond the parameters of the change to generate the person whose body part it is. It is only moderately gory, and most locals get used to seeing this kind of thing as a prank from 6-year-olds every Halloween. Still, it might startle a tourist. Examine heel. Calloused and leathery, a gruesome souvenir of years of unhappy shoe wearing. Okay.
We could turn that into an eel.
I know, yeah. We reset the device to H with a distinct whiff of a sort of oily fishy tang. The heel turns into an eel. Manifested dead because out of its proper element, the eel nonetheless gleams with silver and stripes. We take the eel. Wear eel. The eel is not wearable. Okay. Okay. Anything else we can turn into a fish?
I don't think so. I'm getting fish flashbacks, but it wasn't the first goal to get the backpack. If we get a backpack, we can create things and then put them in there.
Yeah. There's kiosks.
Can we play other carnival games? What are we here?
There's a selection of carnival games to the west, but we're surrounded by kiosks for spell-offs, face painting, and other activities. Okay.
we
Examine
play a
kiosks.
game?
They're the usual tacky affairs of brightly painted fiberboard and cheap prizes. I don't see any likely to help us today, however. I just quite fancy a spell off. No. Okay. It looks like on the map that the cinema is to the northwest, so we could try going northwest and see if we can get
Yeah.
our backpack.
Yeah.
Church forecourt. This corner of the park in the lee of the church has been left free of kiosks and booths. Contrary to the usual rules of cathedral layout, the new church is oriented towards the north, so we are standing by the flank of the building, although there is an entrance on this side. South and east lead to more of the park. There's a small cinema where I left my pack to the north, and the entrance to the new church is west. Okay. So again, we've got directions, all cardinal directions, and back southeast to the park. Let's go north to the cinema then. Cinema lobby. This is a small one-screen theatre. The seats are not comfortable and the screen is not large. The projector is old. The management is lazy. No food is served. On 2 occasions, the film I was watching burst into flames while it was being shown. Despite these handicaps, it maintains an active and interested clientele simply by virtue of content. A wide variety of foreign films that, although meticulously dubbed into flawless California accented English, nonetheless carry that slight tang of the forbidden. Evidently, the next showing is not for a little while yet, because there are no patrons in sight. Ticket, says the ticket taker automatically. So we can go west into the cinema, presumably. Right, you need a ticket to go in there, says the ticket taker. Buy ticket. I'd like to buy a ticket to this movie, we say. He names the price, which reminds me that we haven't got any money at the moment. Awkward. There's probably a less above board way of getting a ticket if you really want one, of course. Or we could go rescue your stash of money from storage. Your choice.
Yes, we'll try either of those, depending on which one comes first.
What should we target with our letter removal machine? We could change the ticket taker into a tick taker.
Let's go to the church, shall we?
The church?
Well, I can't think of anything yet to do with this, so I thought let's get some more information.
Okay, the locker is at the hostel.
Where's the
Oh,
hostel?
okay. That's on the other side of the park.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could go there, or we could go to the church. I mean, we could try messing with the ticket taker. We could try removing some letters from the ticket taker. We could try taking letters that don't result in any proper words, see what happens. Let's try remove T from ticket taker. Let's see what happens. The device buzzes puzzled. It is unable to create anything recognizable called Icky Aka. Okay, good. So now we know what happens if you try and do that. So we have to go via a real word then, don't we? So we can't just take it to Ickit taker or tick. Yeah, ticky taker and then tick taker. So that's not it, is it? Screening room, cinema lobby. Okay. Okay.
I'm wondering whether any of the words from which we need to remove letters, whether it will stop telling us what the word is. So it might describe an object without telling us the name of the object. And then
Yeah, well, it's a synonym.
yeah.
Like, you know, oh, it talks about, you know, we're in the cinema and it talks about cinema lobby, but if you know, maybe we need to use movie theatre or something, remove a letter from that. Possibly. I think that would be a little bit mean, especially at the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
But maybe later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't look like it's signposting words at us anymore. Okay, well let's just look around then. Let's go south.
Or maybe the author of the game has had to really work very hard to describe a lot of these places without any words that can be turned into anything at all.
Well, that is the feat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you've ever played Scrabble, there are a lot of words. Right? So, I mean, like eel, for example, I'm sure L is a word, E-L. Lee obviously is a word. Oh, yeah, except, yeah, we'd have to swap it round. But yeah, there's lots of very obscure words, especially small words. So yeah, I guess we need to push the limits of what this thing understands, and because it's not specifically showing us objects, they're just in the description. That means any word in the description or any object word in the description is fair game. I mean, we could go from booths to booth to boot. If we need a boot.
We're not more likely to need boots.
Oh yeah, true. We could just take the H out. Shall I do that? Oh, okay. Oh, we're not there, are we? If you go southeast, there are booths, right?
Yeah, this location is just free of booths.
Oh no. They're called kiosks here. Interesting. Oops. Yeah, no booths. What was there? Yeah, it's been left free of kiosks and booths. So there's no booths here, and if you go southeast, there's only kiosks and no booths. So we can't do anything with that word. Interesting. Okay. So we can go south as well, or west into the church. So let's go into the church. New church. Not a Gothic cathedral from the era when the church was wealthy and secure, but a gallant neoclassical response to the turmoil of the 18th century, when the power of language was just beginning to be evident, and instead of an immutable cosmology, we suddenly had observer consensus reality. What is the need or use of God, if it turns out that he gave all the power of creation to Adam when he let him name the animals? An inscription above the altar, picked out in gold paint, reads something in Greek. My mother volunteers here. I think I should warn you, she is not quite religious, but believes in the cultural value of the building and having some sort of place where people can go for spiritual respite. She also, I suspect, likes having those great gold letters defiantly foreign and arcane in the heart of the old city. There are exits both east and west, and a gift shop occupies the narthex at the south end. Narthex.
What's a narthex?
It's a bit of a church, I guess.
Okay.
Just asking.
So yeah. So we can go further west or we can go south to the gift shop. I mean, but this let's look at the letters. Oh, really? The inscription above the altar, picked out in gold paint, reads, whatever that is. I can't.
Could we make it old paint rather than gold, and that might show us what it was meant to be?
Huh. Remove G from gold paint. The letter remover finds no G in the inscription. Okay. So if we examine paint, it means in the beginning was the word. A patchy attempt to make theology align with scientific and linguistic reality, but it still has power. And despite the Bureau's depredations of foreign language writings everywhere else, they have never quite had the nerve to deface this. What Bureau? What's the Bureau? In the beginning was the word. Neoclassical response to the turmoil of the 18th century, when the power of language was just beginning to be evident, and instead of an immutable cosmology, we suddenly had observer consensus reality. That's when we started keeping collections of words and writing the dictionary.
It's all about words and letters, isn't it? I think that
Yeah,
the
this
whole
whole
thing
game.
is a bit of a wordplay.
Indeed. The power of words. Okay. Let's go west. Church garden. One might expect a graveyard, but burial inside the city walls has been forbidden for sanitation reasons since well before the new church was built. Instead, there is a small meditation garden, which was once designed as an intricate knotwork of shrubs. The knotwork has since grown into a thicket.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Ticket.
Yeah.
Densely grown, the church hasn't been able to afford a real groundskeeper for some time. Of course, that's what we should be thinking. If we know we need something, we need to look around for something that is that thing with an extra letter. We reset the device to H. The thicket abruptly shrivels and flattens itself, and in its place, a ticket flattens to the earth. We take the ticket. It reads, Admit 1 in large black letters. Score is still 4, and there doesn't seem to be anything else here. There's a small meditation garden which was once designed as an intricate knotwork of shrubs. Now the shrubs are gone. Okay, should we stop off in the gift shop on the way through? Cathedral gift shop. This area used to be a sort of antechamber where the priests and choir might gather for processions into the church, but it has now been done over for retail purposes. This is one of several schemes to make the new church pay for its own upkeep. The problem is that people somehow feel everything associated with a church ought to be free, including lunchtime concerts, potluck suppers, and Thursday night lecture series. The elderly man in charge of the gift shop nods at us as we come in. A long line of dusty tomes are lined up on one of the shelves, marked free for taking. None are missing. I'd like to ask what is worth seeing in the new church. Type topics to repeat current conversation topics and suggest new ones. Topics. We could ask what is worth seeing in the new church, ask whether he believes in God, ask whether he approves of government, or ask why he isn't at the celebration. This is an interesting way of doing conversations, isn't it? Okay, is it just man? Who is it? Elderly man in a knitted wool cap. Ask. Okay. If you so I said, ask man what is there to see. If you're trying to converse with other characters, the suggestions in the text provide possible phrasings. So if you read, I might ask about lentils, you might phrase your command, ask about lentils. Introducing other words or variant phrasings that weren't part of the suggestion may confuse the game. Alternatively, if you just want to take an action in the game world, try giving a direct command, such as examine the asp, or wave the P remover at the phony. Okay. I've got to type it all out then. Ask man what is worth seeing in the new church. So tell me, what should I be looking for in the new church, we ask. Other than God, he asks dryly. The volunteers aren't very well trained, are they? I was expecting something about the points of architectural interest. Ask man, do you believe in God? Oh, that doesn't seem to be a topic of conversation. I thought it was. We could ask whether he believes in God. Oh, we could also ask whether there are points of architectural interest. Okay. So ask man whether he believes in God. And so not ask man, do you believe in God? Ask man whether he believes in God. Are you a believer? We ask. Some of the time. The rest of the time I just wish I were. He flattens his hands on the surface of the counter. They are veiny with coarse, thick nails. Some reflection about the end of life or the perspective of old age seems inevitable. But he says, you choose to believe or not. There's no such thing as absolute proof. So then the question is, do you want to believe in God? And if so, what kind of God do you want to believe in? You go from there. I'd like to ask what sort of God he believes in, or ask why he's here. Oh, I see. Ask man what sort of God he believes in. What sort of God do you believe in then, we ask. This isn't exactly how I expected this conversation to go, but no doubt you have some reason of your own for chatting with random strangers about their deeply held beliefs, while we are supposed to be fleeing the country. Today, he shrugs his cardigan-clad shoulders. I figure he's a good enough type, but he's a little tired of humans. Who wouldn't be? It might be that he's working on a new project and he's gotten distracted from us. We could ask what new project that might be. Ask a man what project that might be. What kind of new project? If I knew, I'd be the Almighty, wouldn't I? He looks at us thoughtfully, and I almost have the feeling he knows something I don't want him to know. You should keep moving. Don't waste time, he says. Right.
Speaking of time.
Oh, yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
I've been trying to turn the tomes into different things, and toes seems disgusting,
Yeah.
judging by what happened with the heel. Toms?
Examine tomes. Looking at one gives a sense of awe. Extremely dusty, learned and virtuous, such that I almost fall asleep just looking at it. It's nothing so ribald as the Bible, or even a hymnal or order of service. It appears rather to be a selection of sermons of the 18th century, from a period when it was considered somehow exciting to sit through a 3-hour discourse on theology. Should we just finish this location? Should we see what other topics there are and work through them? Do we think we're under time pressure, really? Do we think... It says Central Gift Shop noon. Are we on a hard limit, do we think? Ask a man why he is here. If you aren't interested in this place, why do you volunteer here, we ask. His left eyelid twitches. The rose-hip woman, he says, after a moment. She's a looker. I'm not sure what's more disturbing. Someone expressing attraction to my mother, that person being a good 30 years her senior, or the use of the phrase, she's a looker, which even this old character probably got from a movie. We could remind the gift shop volunteer that Mrs. Rosehip is married. Man. Let's type it in exactly as it says. Remind man that Mrs. Rosehip is married. No. I mean, how do we do this? How do we ask that Mrs. Rosehip is married? No.
Tell man that Mrs. Rosehip is married?
We could remind the gift shop volunteer that Mrs. Rosehip is married. Ask whether he approves of government, or ask why he isn't at the celebration. Ask a man about Mrs. Rosehip. My mother, we begin, before you catch me. Sorry about that. Always tells me it's unwise to chase after married women, we finish lamely. He shakes with laughter. Bless you, he says. I'm not chasing after anyone. At my age, you just like a bit of good scenery. You're not hard on the eyes yourself, you know. Right.
Not sure I want to talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
It did say ask about the government and also ask why he isn't at the celebration.
Yeah. Ask a man whether he approves of government. Do you approve of the present government of the island? His eyes narrow sharply. That's not a question we get asked a lot around here, he comments. It's a little like being asked whether you approve of the plumbing in your house or the brake lines on your car. If it ever broke, you'd know, but the rest of the time you just don't give it much thought. Much consideration. Underappreciated folks are orthographers, but they work hard and they make things run smoothly, and barring the odd popular referendum, we don't have to waste nearly as much time on arguing politics as folks in most countries. Orthographers. Ask a man why he isn't at the celebrations. I'm surprised you're in here and not outside enjoying the festivities, we comment. The prizes and candy are for kiddies, he says. The part I like best's what comes later, the fireworks. They're always first rate. I'm inclined to ask how to see the fireworks. Really? I wouldn't want to miss that. How do we see the fireworks display? It's after dark, he says, naturally, but you'll be able to see it from anywhere around. Not to worry. They fire the blasts off over the water, but you can see them from miles off. We can think of no valid conversation topics at the moment. Okay. North, east, north, give ticket to ticket taker. Here, have a ticket, we say. The ticket taker frowns slightly as he takes the ticket. He turns it over front and back, looks at us in confusion, looks at the ticket again, then he goes to the phone and makes a call. I'm nervous. It's evident that he's talking to his manager. He doesn't take his eyes off us for a moment. He puts his hand over the receiver so that we can hear the whole conversation clearly. So we can't hear the whole conversation clearly, but the gist is still obvious. Be fake, but a trick it maybe, or like a stick it. Oh, all right. Finally, he hangs up. Sorry for the inconvenience, he says. Your ticket looks a little different from our usual ones, but I guess the printing has been changed. He tears the ticket briskly into confetti, destroying all evidence of our crime, and points off to the west. The screening room is that way. Thank you and enjoy the show. It's not for a while, though. Screening room, whatever is scheduled for later showing, has not started yet and is probably not destined to start for some time. At any rate, the screen is blank and no audience is yet assembled. My backpack is stowed under a seat in the third row from the back. I figured that it would be undisturbed there for a couple of hours in the dark and out of sight, and if anyone found it, they would probably turn it into lost and found, but it's a big relief to find it still there. The backpack contains a flash drive and a monocle. We can go north and east to the cinema lobby from here. And we haven't got any more score. I thought we'd just do that and get some more score, but we haven't. So,
do we have to get backpack?
No, I think we've got it, have we? Inventory? Or maybe not. Yeah, you're right. Get backpack. We get the backpack. Mine, a little bit worn but capacious. It doesn't have any identifying marks on it, and I thought a brand new bag would look more suspicious. It's closed. Your score has gone up by 3 points and is now 7. Oh, yeah. Well done, Woods. We've got 3 points for retrieving the backpack. There we go.
I guess we'll leave it there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. I hope it was enjoyable. It's very different to the other games that we've played so far. We only played it very, very shortly last week, and we didn't get to the point where it became obvious that it's a word puzzle, or that it's full of word puzzles. So there's lots of word and spelling puzzles, I guess, but also this overarching story about oppression and being two people becoming one person and trying to escape. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks very much. See you next week, hopefully.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.